My name is Laban Roomes, founder of the luxury gift company Goldgenie. I had the most amazing, fun, happy-go-lucky childhood. My mum was my mother, my father, my auntie, my brother, my sister. She was everything. She ousted an abusive father when I was about 4 years of age. And yeah, funny enough, when I explain my childhood to certain people, they usually say, oh, you didn't have a nice childhood, did you? And it only brings it to my attention that it was a different childhood. I witnessed my mum being abused by my father. There wasn't much money around, and of course these things must have had an effect on me. But I think I drowned all of that out by watching films, having a great set of friends around me, being very playful, and a mother that really put it into my head that I can be anything I want to be. My mum used to always say to me that if I want to go to the moon, I'll find a way. My dream occupation for me when I was a child, that was to be like a singer or like a model, something of the sorts. But then I fell through a window when I was like 12 years of age, and I cut my face. And then what happened was, as a result of that, it made me feel that I wasn't good looking anymore. And I sit down and like hide my face like this. But as I got older, funny enough, people seemed to like be attracted by my scar and my features. I suppose almost like a butterfly that has warning marks on it, But no, it's interesting how your flaws can somehow end up to be your beauty. But anyway, I've always been someone that wants to make a lot of money. I left school at 15 and never went back for my exams. I made the decision to go and make some money, and that's what I did. I went out, got a job working in the fur factory, making mink coats. Then after that, started just doing my own thing. But so even going back 10 years before that, I was selling biscuits in the school playground, cutting hedges, washing cars. And then I got a job when I left school, funny enough, because it was embarrassing to be this guy that's cutting hedges and washing cars. You seem like a black gypsy. It wasn't cool to be washing cars and cutting hedges when like he was like 11 years of age. You were seen as impoverished. If your family doesn't have any money. But I did have money. 11 years of age, I was driving like Mongoose BMX bike, Adidas trainers. And I was able to clothe myself because my dear mother wasn't able to, So what happened was I became like the breadwinner of the house, as the youngest of four siblings. I'm the fifth one, but as the youngest one, I became the breadwinner for my mum, and through doing business, etc., I was able to alleviate her from any financial pressure. I paid up the house for her when I was about 19, I think it was. So she didn't have a mortgage to pay, because I remember when Norman Lamont put up the interest rates in, I think it was like 1984, 1985, my mum literally had a nervous breakdown, and I swore that that would never ever happen to her again. And it did, but for different reasons. But I just I wanted to alleviate my mum from any pressure, any financial pressure, and I did. Okay, so I actually started gold plating like body piercing jewelry. That was the first thing I ever done, and I gold plated like a bunch of nipple rings for like a tenner. I was able to buy some bread, some milk, some eggs, I remember at the time, because Things weren't that good for me back then, But it evolved and it progressed, and I wrote a letter to Lexus, and they never got back to me. So one day I just turned up in a taxi. I said I was next door in my gold plating kit, and said, look, I want to gold plate your demonstrator car. That's what they call it, like the show car. And I did it in front of Lexus Manchester, Lexus Birmingham. They were all having some sort of convention there. This was the Barbican at the time. Barbican was like one of the first Lexus dealerships. It's not there anymore. They've knocked it down and built flats, luxury flats. Which I'm sure they make more money doing that now. But I just happened to hit upon this Lexus dealership where I've done this demonstration in front of like 10 Lexus dealers that were down there having a convention. And overnight I started working for Lexus. So I used to drive literally all around the country with my gold plating kit, the same G Pro 900, which has been renamed and repackaged now, gold plating car emblems. And it totally transformed my life. Okay, so I bought the machine many years ago, and what I did when I bought it, it was too big. It was big, it was analog, and I thought, no, if this is going to work, I'm going to make this my own. So I drew out a design. I found a manufacturer, and I literally started making my own machines. This was a few years in, because obviously I was getting on in age, and I didn't want to be this guy who's like 40, 50, 60 years of age driving around in a van. So the portable gold plating system with the G Pro 900 was a way of me packaging this so I could kind of get out of it, but what ended up happening is that the business then evolved to doing luxury gifts like mobile phones, etc. But for me, repackaging and redesigning this original system that I bought, was probably the best thing that I ever done, and it allowed for people like you to actually buy into the business yourself and make money from home. You can use it from I don't want to be selling, but you can use it on your kitchen table, as I did, as I started gold plating things like knives and forks and cutlery and lighters and coins and rings and necklaces, and this is what I did. And for a small outlay, I was able to feed my family basically, and then grow the business to the heights that it is at now. So yeah. Well, one of the biggest hurdles that I personally had to overcome being a CEO is probably the colour of my skin. I know it sounds cliche, but when I first started, this is like before Dragon's Den, I never used to show myself on the website. People didn't know that Laban, which actually is a Jewish name, was a black guy, and I know it sounds absolutely terrible, but that's exactly what I did. I got the impression very early on in business that people would prefer to buy from the Caucasian or Jewish man or the Asian man, but as far as like buying from a black guy, it seemed like there was some hurdle in that for some people. So I thought, okay, let the services, let the business, literally speak for itself. Yeah. So we still aim at doing absolutely quality items, luxury gifts, which get sold all around the world, all from the G Pro 900 system. That is like still to this very day the core of our business. How did the gold plating kit change my life? I mean, it changed my life in every which way, shape and form. It gave me purpose, gave me focus, gave me an abundance, prosperity. It gave me appeal. It got me into places where doors remain shut for many people. So I would say this is actually been a defining element of my life. There's so many, but if I've got to pick one, as I sit here right now, is knowing the value of myself and the value of money. So when I first started, I had to get my head around that, literally you can make £1,000 a day, where maybe before I was making maybe £80 a day. So that was like, and not even a day, like in a couple of hours, 1 hour even. And I had to get used to, okay, this is your value now. You've stepped up, and it takes a little time for that to actually sink in. If you're someone that's making £200 a week, and people work 9 to 5 every single day for the whole week and come on with 200 and something pounds in their pocket, and that's their life, and I don't, it's been a very, very long time since I've done anything like that, but when that transition to doing gold plating, it was like, wow, I can actually make whatever I want if I'm focused, if I'm organized, if I believe it, So it was just that transition from, my worth as, a few £100s a week to a few £100 an hour. I think that's the biggest thing that I've had to deal with. What am I most grateful for? And that's a lovely question. I'm most grateful for everything, including my family. I love my family. My 2 boys, Kane, Ricky, and my beautiful daughter Iman, who's behind the camera, in fact, doing this interview with me. I'm grateful for, having the ability to take my family on holiday. I'm grateful for the ability to have stuff going on in Africa, where my son is at the moment, looking after operations. I'm grateful for being able to, drive a decent car, to breathe and say good morning to our next door neighbour. I'm actually grateful for every single thing. And, for whatever reason, I'm just more and more conscious of that now. And it's not just because of doing business and whatever, I'm just, the experiences that I've had to date, which, a lot of them have been because of some way, shape, form, knock-on effect, butterfly effect of the business that I am in. It's like I have a purpose, I have a purpose in this life, and my purpose is to inspire and to let other people know that you can achieve 100x what I've done in my lifetime if you're focused and if you believe in yourself. And it can be very hard to believe in yourself. Most people, they struggle with that. But what I would say is, if you don't believe in yourself, no one will. And let's take the time to do those exercises, read those books, be around those people that can help with your self-belief and your value, because it will pay dividends beyond your wildest expectations. I would have to say books, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, another lovely book called The Trick to Money is Having Some by Stuart Wilde, which that was a turning point for me. The trick to money is having some, where it's literally, you got a pound in your pocket. Oh, right, you got a pound in your pocket, but how does that pound make you feel? Well, I can go and buy some chewing gum, I can buy a packet of crisps with this pound, or I can buy a bottle of water. And for some people, that is like abundance. So it's like, whatever you've got, use it to first be grateful. Secondly, well, that gives me access to this, no matter what it is. Things are on different scales. It doesn't matter if it's a little or a lot, but just know that the more comfortable you feel around money is the more you're going to get in life. It's the more that's going to flow to you. The more it's going to, money will literally come knocking on your door, and it will, and it has in my life. It has in many people's lives. What I'm saying is not, it's not rocket science. You know, there's many videos, you know, just Google manifestation. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you will see that what I'm saying is aligned with that. It's like the better you feel about yourself, the more confident you feel about your ability to make money, which usually comes from focus and determination, persistence, self-belief, the more you're going to have in life, and the more everyone around you will be affected by that as well. It's a knock-on effect that goes on forever and ever and ever. It's like, you know, when you do the body popping and you touch that man there, and then he goes, and it's just going down the line. You know, it's like, it's it's energy I'm talking about, my man, my woman, my girl, my brother, my sister. It's energy, you know. Get that energy. Well, the machine won't change your life. What will change your life is you. You'll change your life, and you'll change your life not by buying a G Pro 900 or buying some, you know, other business opportunity, whatever it may be. You know, the change has to come within. Yeah, then whatever you put your hand to is gonna be success. So this is not a video telling you to buy no G Pro 900. That worked for me, and it may work for you. But what you've got to do first, you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have that work ethic, that discipline, the power to use your God-given spirit, the will, of being able to decide, to make a decision, to make a choice. This is what I want to try and impart to you. You know, it's not about G Pro 900 or 900 G Pro portable plating kit or gold plating kit. You know, what I'm talking about will work with anything that you set your mind to, set your heart to. So for me, it was the gold plating kit. It changed my life. You know, everything I have is a result of me doing this business. It is, you know, quite point blank flat. It is that, you know, there is nothing more that has changed my life and defined my life than what I focused on. But it could be something different for you. But just work on yourself. Spend 6 months, spend a year. Take time out, get your pen and paper, you know, decide what it is that you want to do, what your strengths, what your weaknesses, you know, what things are you good at, what things are you not good at, and then just move forward in that direction, and you will be guided. You know, things will come, people will come, places will come, situations will arise to help you choose that right thing that is for you.